What I am going to present to you is the last proceeding Judge Frank Caprio oversaw before his death, and it stands as the most remarkable courtroom scene ever captured. An 84-year-old homeless veteran enters, accused of taking a loaf of bread. But when Judge Caprio uncovers what this individual has kept concealed in his shopping cart over 2 decades, he halts the proceedings entirely and renders a verdict that will make you weep without restraint. I am cautioning you at this moment. This account will shatter you emotionally. When Judge Caprio observes the contents of that cart, he takes an action so extraordinary it permanently alters legal history. However, before we explore Judge Caprio's most iconic instant, fewer than 1% of viewers are subscribed. So, please press that subscribe button, because this narrative about the finest judge to ever exist should be shared with all. This is not merely a legal matter. This is Judge Frank Caprio's enduring impact, his ultimate offering to mankind, and the events in the coming half hour will renew your belief in empathy, fairness, and the strength of human goodness. It is a fresh October day in Providence Municipal Court, and Judge Frank Caprio is getting ready for what would unknowingly be his final week serving. At 84 years of age, Judge Caprio has adjudicated countless cases with the identical empathy and insight that earned him global affection. The court is filled, as always, a combination of accused persons, relatives, court personnel, and even some spectators who journeyed from other areas just to see Judge Caprio's famous kindness firsthand. There is a feeling in the space, an anticipation that something significant is imminent. Precisely at 10:30 a.m., the officer escorts in the day's last matter, a theft accusation that appears standard in the files. But as we will learn, every aspect of this situation is out of the ordinary. Through the courtroom entrance walks an 84-year-old man called Eddie Sullivan. Eddie advances gradually, with discomfort, leaning on a handmade stick fashioned from a tree limb. His attire consists of tiers of aged garments, mended repeatedly, illustrating a life spent homeless for an extended period. But what draws every eye is not Eddie himself. It is the object he drags after him, an aged shopping cart draped with a blue plastic sheet holding what seems to be his entire earthly belongings. Eddie is present because 3 days prior he was discovered removing a loaf of bread from a local shop without payment. The shop owner contacted the authorities, and now Eddie confronts a theft charge that might lead to imprisonment. But everyone, before I reveal the astonishing finding Judge Caprio is on the verge of making, I require you to perform a task for me. Inform me in the comments section below your current viewing location. This story should be known globally. Are you in Chicago, London, Sydney, Miami? Share your city below, because Judge Caprio's heritage of kindness must scatter all over. As Eddie nears the defendant's position, Judge Caprio quickly observes a detail that many would overlook. Even with Eddie's clear destitution and lack of housing, he preserves a sense of honor. He takes off his old baseball cap politely, stands as upright as his elderly frame permits, and looks directly at the judge. Edward Patrick Sullivan, the court clerk, declares. Reading from the court record, Eddie moves forward, holding his improvised cane with one hand and resting the other on his shopping cart as though guarding something valuable. Judge Caprio lifts his gaze from his documents with those compassionate eyes that have offered grace to countless individuals throughout his 3-decade tenure. He instantly feels that this is not merely another theft case. Mr. Sullivan, you are accused of theft, specifically taking a loaf of bread priced at $249 from Murphy's Corner Store. What is your plea? Softly. Guilty, Your Honor, Eddie states quietly, his tone bearing the seriousness of a person who's endured things most of us cannot conceive. I took the bread. I was hungry. Judge Caprio puts down his pen, that well-known gesture that indicates he's going to go past the legal procedures into something more personal. Mr. Sullivan, can you explain your situation? Why could you not purchase the bread? Eddie looks around the crowded courtroom, then back at Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I have been without a home for 8 years now. I reside on the streets, attempt to find employment when possible, but at my age, work is scarce. Judge Caprio's face becomes even gentler. Mr. Sullivan, may I inquire your age? 84, Your Honor. Same as you, I think. This halts Judge Caprio abruptly. 2 4-year-old men born in the same period, but experiencing completely different existences. One esteemed and admired, seated on the judge's bench, the other without shelter and starving, appearing before him as a defendant, pensive. Truly, we are the same age. Mr. Sullivan, can you tell me, did you serve our nation? Eddie's stance became a bit straighter. With pride, yes, Your Honor. United States Army, Korea, 1952 to 1954. Then Vietnam, 1968 to 1970. 2 deployments. And folks, if you're already sensing the gravity of this account, an 4-year-old homeless veteran, the same age as Judge Caprio, taking bread to live. Please press that like button. This account embodies everything that is both flawed and wonderful about our system, and your interaction assists stories such as this to get to the individuals who should hear them. Judge Caprio rises from his seat, his characteristic action. When something moves him profoundly, he moves around to the front, removing the official separation between judge and defendant. Mr. Sullivan, Eddie, you served in 2 conflicts. Yes, Your Honor. I was 19 when I departed for Korea. Returned, believed I was finished with war. Then Vietnam occurred, and they summoned us again. Judge Caprio sees that Eddie continues to keep one shielding hand on his shopping cart during the entire discussion. Eddie, I need to inquire, what is inside the cart? Eddie's whole attitude shifts. He tightens his hold on the cart handle, and for the first instance he appears truly troubled. Your Honor, these are private belongings. Nothing unlawful. Simply objects important to me. Judge Caprio's instincts, sharpened by years of understanding individuals, indicate something meaningful is present. Eddie, would you be willing to reveal the cart's contents? I am not inquiring as a judge presently. I am asking as another person concerned with your narrative. Eddie glances around the courtroom at the over 40 spectators observing this interaction. His hand trembles a bit as he ponders the appeal. Your Honor, individuals may believe I am insane when they view what is inside. Eddie, I have served in this court for 3 decades. I have witnessed all manner of things, and I have never considered anyone insane for valuing something profoundly. Please show us. Eddie inhales deeply and gradually draws back the blue cover over his shopping cart. What the courtroom witnesses halts everyone completely. The shopping cart is packed with numerous photos, letters, military papers, and small personal effects, dog tags, a Purple Heart Award, service ribbons, and what looks like a well-preserved military diary. But that is not the startling aspect. As Eddie gently raises some of the pictures, Judge Caprio's eyes open wide in astonishment. Eddie, are these? Yes, Your Honor. Each soldier from my unit who did not return, Korea and Vietnam. I have been transporting their images and their histories for more than 70 years. The courtroom becomes completely quiet. Eddie starts lifting out photo after photo, monochrome images from Korea, colored pictures from Vietnam, youthful faces, many just past adolescence, gazing at the camera with the blend of courage and apprehension that characterizes troops entering battle. This is Private Tommy Chen from San Francisco, 19 years old when he perished at Chosin Reservoir. He would show me images of his younger sister and discuss instructing her to drive upon his return. Judge Caprio steps nearer, and as he does, Eddie keeps taking out additional photos and documents. This is Sergeant Mike Rodriguez from El Paso. He intended to marry his high school love when we returned from Korea. Wrote her a letter each day. He died while transporting 3 of his injured men to safety. And this, Eddie states, his voice starting to break, is Lieutenant James Morrison from Maine, 22 years old. He preserved my life in Vietnam by covering a grenade. His final words to me were, "Inform my mother I died remembering her apple pie." As Eddie proceeds displaying photographs and recounting tales, individuals in the courtroom start weeping. These are not merely old images. They are a traveling memorial kept by a man who will not allow his comrades to be erased. Your Honor, I understand that others view me as merely an eccentric, elderly, homeless individual with a cart loaded with discarded items, but these young men, they are worthy of being recalled. Their relatives are entitled to learn that an individual still preserves their legacy. Judge Caprio's eyes well up as the extent of Eddie's 70-year dedication becomes evident. Eddie, how many servicemen's accounts are you preserving? 437, Your Honor. Each name, each face, each narrative I can recall. I possess the letters they sent home, their decorations, their personal items that their families never retrieved. I have served as their protector for 70 years, but Eddie has more to share. He reaches into the most concealed section of his cart and retrieves a tattered notebook, its borders worn from years of use. This is their volume, Your Honor. Every account I managed to uncover, every particular regarding their lives and their passing. I have been composing it for 70 years, supplementing it each time I discover new information about one of my boys. Judge Caprio accepts the notebook with solemn hands and starts to read. His look shifts from astonishment to reverence to something akin to veneration. Eddie, this is a masterwork of commemoration. You have produced the most thorough tribute to overlooked heroes I have ever encountered. But what Judge Caprio reads next in the notebook halts him entirely. Eddie, it indicates here that you have been locating families of deceased soldiers and giving back their personal belongings. How many families have you located? More than 200, Your Honor. Occasionally it requires years, but I locate them. I present them with their son's final correspondence, or his decoration, or a photograph he kept. I inform them how courageous their boy was, how deeply he was cherished by his comrades. Judge Caprio understands he is observing a man who has dedicated 70 years to assisting others, honoring the deceased,
and consoling the living, all while residing in destitution himself.
Eddie, you have been without a home for 8 years. Yes, sir. I lost my residence when my veteran disability was terminated because of a documentation mistake. I have been residing on the street since that time, but I always keep the cart with me. These boys require someone to protect them. And folks, I need to stop here because what you are observing is the most beautiful gesture of service and remembrance you will ever witness. If you are not subscribed to this channel yet, please press that button immediately. Accounts like Eddie's show us what genuine heroism appears as, and your backing aids us in distributing these amazing human stories globally. Regrettably, Judge Frank Caprio died just 2 weeks following Eddie's hearing, rendering it his ultimate demonstration of empathy from the bench. But what a manner to conclude a storied career of service to humankind. Judge Caprio's relatives expressed that Eddie's case symbolized all that their father stood for, that every individual merits respect, that serving others is the noblest purpose, and that empathy can transform the world.
At Judge Caprio's memorial service, Eddie Sullivan was granted a position of distinction in the front row.
He carried with him a picture of Judge Caprio, which he included in his memorial collection. Eddie expressed to those gathered, "Judge Caprio rescued me and paid tribute to my sons. Now he is also part of the memorial. And everyone, I wish to pose a question that I am certain Judge Caprio would have wanted me to ask. In the comment section, share with us about an individual in your life who merits acknowledgement for their humble assistance to people. Who are the unrecognized champions in your area? Who are the individuals creating an impact without seeking gratitude?" Judge Frank Caprio dedicated 3 decades demonstrating to us that empathy is a decision we make each day. Eddie Sullivan dedicated 70 years demonstrating that affection and memory can endure any challenge. Post your accounts in the comments, since Judge Caprio's heritage continues through each generous deed, each instance of empathy, and each choice to recognize the humanity in everyone. If this account affected you, if Judge Caprio's ultimate empathetic gesture and Eddie's lifelong dedication moved you, please pass this video along to somebody who requires a reminder that champions live among us each day. Like this video if you support honoring our veterans, aiding our homeless, and treating each person with honor and regard. Subscribe for additional accounts that demonstrate Judge Frank Caprio's legacy that empathy, generosity, and human goodness will always overcome apathy. And recall Judge Caprio's statement, fairness is not solely about adhering to rules. It is about recognizing the individual beyond the situation and replying with your emotions. Rest in peace, Judge Frank Caprio. Your empathy transformed the world, one situation at a time.